This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Mark Martin. The cry for justice continues with protests in America and worldwide over the brutal killing of George Floyd. 4 police officers are accused in the crime. The demonstrations last night were once again more peaceful. A memorial service for Floyd took place yesterday at a Christian college in Minneapolis. A painful pause of 8 minutes and 46 seconds was held to mark Floyd's final moments. Jennifer Wishon has the story.
In cities across the country last night, more protests. In New York, police peacefully arresting protesters breaking the city's 8 p.m. curfew that's in effect through Sunday. The demonstrations coming after family and friends gathered in Minneapolis to pay tribute to the life of George Floyd. The city's police chief kneeling as Floyd's casket passed by. Floyd's memorial service was held at North Central University, a Christian school located just over a mile from where he died. Amazing grace. Floyd was remembered as a father and brother from humble beginnings who grew up eating banana and mayonnaise sandwiches and loving sports.
All these people came to see my brother, and that's amazing to me that he touched so many people's hearts, because he's been touching our hearts.
Reverend Al Sharpton delivered the eulogy, quickly tearing into President Trump for holding up a Bible in front of St. John's Church.
We cannot use Bibles as a prop. And for those that have agendas that are not about justice, this family will not let you use George as a prop.
The civil rights activist also drew parallels between Floyd's tragic death and what he calls the story of African Americans for more than 400 years.
It's time for us to stand up in George's name and say, get your knee off our necks.
Then a painful pause for 8 minutes and 46 seconds to remember Floyd's final moments.
We want justice for George.
Floyd will be laid to rest in Houston next week. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
With packed protests expected to continue this weekend, there's a dire warning about COVID-19. The CDC predicts the death toll could hit 143,000 by the end of the month because of a lack of social distancing and masks. The Los Angeles Health Department is now asking protesters to quarantine for 14 days after a protest. California is one of at least 16 states where the number of new cases is increasing, as several states are now seeing a spike in cases and hospitalizations 2 weeks after reopening. Health officials are warning against quarantine fatigue.
Really within the entire country, of some fatigue from people who are tired of being at home, tired of having a small circle of individuals with whom they interface, and frankly, tired of, doing the things that we know help reduce the spread.
Meanwhile, more entertainment venues across the country are opening. Today, the first Six Flags amusement park in Oklahoma City is opening its gates, as Disney World in Florida gears up to do the same. New guidelines include limiting attendance, requiring face coverings for all guests and staff, social distancing, plexiglass barriers, increased hand washing and sanitizer stations, along with temperature and health screenings. A shocking report today on America's unemployment rate, as the May unemployment rate actually went down, falling to 13.3% from 14.7% the month before. Economists had predicted that the unemployment rate would go up to as high as 20%. The economy actually added 2.5 million jobs in May as the impact from the coronavirus lockdowns has eased up. Stock market futures shot up on the news, and some analysts believe the economy will recover much more quickly than most economists had expected. Joining us now to talk more about how the coronavirus is affecting the economy is financial expert Dan Celia. Dan, what was your reaction to today's report? Were you surprised?
I was surprised. I think everybody was. I wasn't expecting it to be as bad as everybody thought it was going to be. That 20% number that everybody was anticipating. But nonetheless, I was still surprised. And I think, Mark, really what we've got here is a month early. And everybody was expecting numbers like this next month or this month for the month of June, not now. So this caught everybody by surprise in a very positive way. And there were a lot of positive pieces in this number that I think we can take a lot of optimism from.
Dan, every week we hear about 2 or 3 million new jobless claims. So how can the unemployment rate go down from the month prior? Break it down for us.
Well, what happened was we had an awful lot of people come back into the workforce. We had 2.7 million just in the leisure hospitality arena. That's the exact same amount of people that went out last month on part-time work. So many of them and more came back into the workforce. And one of the reasons we're seeing is obviously things are opening up. The fact that it started such a big number in leisure and hospitality tells us that people are going to start getting out. Gasoline is going to start being in demand again. Travel is going to start to pick up. And the other thing that was really good is we had 34.8 hours worked per week. We haven't seen that, Mark, in probably since before 2008. So that is a very good number. Usually runs about 34.4 in a good, strong economy. So that tells us that we have a lot of people working more hours than businesses or they would like to be working, meaning that now we're seeing them hire people. That number will come down, but I would suspect in June, this month, we're going to see another surge in hiring.
Dan, President Trump says the current downturn was artificial, not like a normal recession, and he expects a strong and fast recovery. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, he's absolutely right, Mark. This is nothing like a normal recession. Remember this, that in a normal recession, there's an underlying economic fundamental that is going wrong. Generally, the economy has been sliding for an extended period of time and finally leading to a recession in negative GDP growth. That has not happened this time. This had nothing to do with the economy. We had an incredibly strong economy and an incredibly strong workforce. So none of that was present. So we aren't waiting now for the economy to get strong. We instead are waiting for this national health crisis to begin to subside and people getting back to work. Very different situation.
And quickly, the stock market has shot up like a rocket in the last couple of months. What's your outlook for the months and the years ahead?
Well, I think this year is going to be a little better than we expected. I don't even think that a slight resurgence in the virus is going to impact it too dramatically. I think we're going to get a little bit better than this, and then for the rest of the year, it's going to somewhat stabilize. But I'll tell you, 2021 is going to be a very good year for the economy and for the markets.
All right, Dan Seeley, a financial expert. Thank you so much for your insight, sir.
You're welcome, Mark. Great to be with you.
All right, you too. We keep hearing reports of progress on a coronavirus vaccine and that one could be ready this year. If you choose to get a vaccine, you may even see a big difference in the form of a radio frequency ID chip. CBN medical reporter Lori Johnson explains why.
People who get a coronavirus vaccine may notice it looks a lot like their eye drops. They might also see an RFID chip on the package. The U.S. government has contracted Abiject Systems of America to make 100 million pre-filled syringes to quickly distribute a coronavirus vaccine. It would use a high-speed blow-fill-seal technology used in pre-filled single-use eye drops.
There are eyedropper facilities in the U.S., not many, but a few, that we are going to upgrade so they can handle vaccines. Then what will happen is those facilities will make the containers right here that will hold the vaccine. We will add a needle hub to them, and voila, you have a pre-filled syringe that's ready to use.
There's also space on each syringe for an optional radio frequency identification chip containing a unique serial number for each dose. It would not be injected or touch the patient. The chip would be scanned by healthcare workers in order to better track overall vaccine information.
It is designed so that there is no counterfeiting. It's designed so that we'll know exactly that the right dose hasn't expired. However, that chip only refers to the dose. There's no personal information, no patient information. It's simply like a barcode, only we know instantaneously where and when that dose has been used. That also helps public health officials know when there are outbreaks, have we vaccinated enough people in those areas?
The pre-filled syringes will add to the limited number of traditionally manufactured vaccine supplies, such as specialized equipment to fill glass jars, stoppers, needles, and syringes.
People are worried about, do we have enough medical glass to be able to put all of these doses of the vaccine into vials so that they can be administered? And that's a serious issue to think about right now, even as we are anticipating, if all goes well, that such vaccines may be available in millions of doses as soon as this fall.
The Department of Defense says once the vaccines are made, they'll be delivered to healthcare providers nationwide with the speed and efficiency of the U.S. military. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Coming up, the third named tropical storm of the season is heading toward the U.S., what forecasters say we can't expect. But before we go to break, here's a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
It's what starts in Israel, then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
You're watching CBN NewsWatch. Tropical storm Cristobal has swept across Mexico and is now heading toward the U.S. Residents in states along the Gulf Coast are spending the weekend preparing, filling, and placing sandbags outside their homes and businesses, as you see there. The U.S. National Hurricane Center projects the storm could threaten U.S. coasts by Sunday and make official landfall on Monday. Cristobal already produced deadly flooding when it made landfall in Mexico on Wednesday, dropping a total of 35 inches of rain. U.S. forecasters say the system will bring wind gusts of 45 miles per hour and flash flooding anywhere from East Texas to the Florida Panhandle. Joining us now on the phone is Joe Bastardi, chief forecaster at weatherbell.com. Joe, how much of an impact is the storm actually going to have on those Gulf states?
Well, I'm very concerned it's going to be as strong as Olga was last year, which surprised a lot of forecasters with 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts around New Orleans when this comes ashore. We've been a little bit stronger on this. We've been ahead of the game. In fact, I was on with Pastor Robertson Monday saying we were going to get development in the Gulf of Mexico very quickly, and that was going to impact the United States. I'm not saying that's to toot my own horn. I'm saying this is a very well-predicted system. And one of the big problems we have, Mark, now is we see a lot of storms that come all the way across, weaken coming to land, but the ones that come in at the last minute are the ones that have been intensifying just before landfall. And so there is some concern on our part about that this will go in stronger than just 45 miles an hour. And the other thing about this is once it makes landfall, at about 24 to 48 hours after, when it's up in Missouri, a big upper air trough of low pressure, a non-tropical trough of low pressure, a big cold front, in other words, is going to catch this thing, give it a little more energy, and it would not be too surprising to see wind and rain across Wisconsin and into Michigan almost as strong as what you have in Louisiana Sunday night and Monday. And the gale force gusts are going to extend out eastward all the way to Mobile, Alabama, and perhaps even to Pensacola. It'll be a heavily east-side weighted storm when it makes landfall. In other words, it'll make landfall southwest of New Orleans. You get 100 miles west of the center, not much is going to be going on, but 200 miles east of the center, a lot will be going on. You see that with a lot of these early season storms. They get picked up like that.
And we talk about it possibly gaining strength before it makes landfall. Could it actually become Hurricane Cristobal?
Well, we've always been concerned about that, and our official forecast at Weatherbell still allows for that. But what is going to be interesting, what we've got to monitor is how tight the system gets when it gets into the Gulf. And because one of these big elliptical low-pressure systems where you see it just rolling around a big 50, 60, 70-mile wide area of circulation, no, it won't do it. But if it focuses and concentrates its energy, that's the problem. And, like I said before, last year Olga did that. We caught that. In fact, I think I was on the day before Olga hit with you, Mark, if I remember correctly. But my age, that might not be such a good thing. But the fact is that we are concerned about that. So I would not lose vigilance. The combination of a big fetch of east-southeast winds, even if they're 30, 40, 50 miles an hour, coming back into the Louisiana coast, is going to raise a ruckus. It's not Katrina, certainly not anything like that. But if you remember Olga last year, maybe a very similar system for southeast Louisiana.
All right, meteorologist Joe Bastardi at weatherbell.com. Thank you, Joe, as always.
All right, thank you for having me.
Blessings, sir. And up next, how the old guard isn't letting the coronavirus pandemic stop them from honoring veterans and their families at Arlington National Cemetery.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
During the global pandemic and national emergency, the Old Guard is continuing its duties, guarding the tomb of the unknown soldier and laying to rest American veterans and their families at Arlington National Cemetery.
For now, Arlington National Cemetery is closed to the public, with funerals closed to the media. Still, the mission of the Old Guard here continues. The final call plays on. Those 24 notes known as taps, marking the end of a day on base. And a national song of tribute to fallen heroes. Even in the midst of a pandemic, this remains a place immune to change. From the eternal flame marking the grave of President John F. Kennedy, to the tomb of the unknown, where the Old Guard stands watch over the resting place of unnamed soldiers.
In keeping with the dignity of the ceremony, it is requested that everyone remain silent and standing.
The usual crowds who silently watched this ceremonial changing of the guard are absent now. But the American soldier known but to God remains under constant and meticulous watch.
For us, it doesn't matter if it's a hurricane or, in this case, if it's a pandemic. We are always here. We are always guarding.
Through a hurricane and even during the 9/11 terror attacks, in rain, snow, sleet, and gloom of night, these watchmen have kept a 24-hour-a-day vigil for more than 80 years. And the coronavirus isn't about to scratch that record.
It's a crazy look.
But this is the first time they've worn masks in close quarters.
There's hope.
And masks are now worn during funeral services and burials.
Please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your loved one's honorable and faithful service.
Even as the nation's veterans and their families continue to receive full military honors.
The unknowns deserve that. Our country deserves that. This place represents the very best of this country. Quite frankly, at a time in which we need reminding of what our very best looks like.
That very best represented by an elite group of soldiers, sometimes standing still as statues. This is the oldest active duty regiment in the U.S. Army. But beyond the pomp and circumstance, the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment is a fully trained and certified Army combat unit. To serve as a sentinel and what is known as the official escort to the president is considered one of the Army's highest honors. For them, the honor is in the mission. The guards don't wear masks while keeping watch, but they do keep their social distance during the changing of the guard and the all-important uniform inspection. The motto of the Old Guard, touch me not. Gabe LaMonica, CBN News, Arlington National Cemetery.
Still ahead, country music star Carrie Underwood is opening up about her marriage, life, and faith journey. We're going to bring you that story next.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Welcome back. Country music star Carrie Underwood and her husband Mike Fisher are sharing with their fans the huge life lessons that God has been showing them in a new online video series. The 4-part short series, which premiered last week, is called Mike and Carrie, God and Country. In this week's episode, Underwood gave an emotional testimony about their wrestle with God during their journey to start a family. The singer experienced multiple miscarriages and said she found herself frustrated with God.
I just had an honest conversation with God. I feel like He heard me and I feel like He answered.
He did answer. The couple will celebrate their 10th wedding anniversary this year. God answered their prayers with their 2 sons, ages 5 and 1. The remaining 2 episodes of their series will launch over the next 2 Wednesdays on June 10th and 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Also, tell us what you think about the stories you've seen by emailing newswatch@cbn.com, or be sure to talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day and a blessed weekend.